Hello friends, let's take a look at Ethereum together. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've still got a few negative things to look at on the chart here. Now, I was really positive in the Bitcoin episode. And that's cool. It means I can kind of offset the negativity over here to the Ethereum charts because they've not been doing quite so well as the Bitcoin prices. You can see the Bitcoin price is up 1.5% today. The Ethereum prices, well, they're having a green day so far. They're only up less than 1% at 0.8%. And we still have the potential for this head and shoulders type idea to work out here on the charts. But if we dive down to a sort of smaller time frame, you can see we still have the potential for this. We've not undone it as yet, and we're really kind of, experiencing a degree of profit taking and resistance and whatever above our heads with, that previous area of that parallel channel coming in right now and offering up today's highs for us in terms of marking that out. The body closes perhaps, looking to try and achieve a higher close than the white line that we have on the chart over here, which is drawn in because this was also where we saw previous. Where did it disappear to? Yeah, up here. This was previous high at the 27th of June. So we're still, in and around about that area, perhaps going to close above the highs back then in June 2019. So that's really, really still quite positive for us. There's a lot of positivity there. And, the clear areas to beat in terms of, easy, manageable targets towards the top side. But we still do have the negative things to look out for. That movement's down to 353 or so, where we have that neckline of that head and shoulders that could be quite significant for us, and it could also be a precursor towards further moves towards the downside. That's a 50% retrace area. The easiest next target thereafter is back down again at 320s and 310s. Of course, for that golden pocket retrace. But the thing that we'd be doing here would be undoing the good work of this Fibonacci here so far that we've got drawn in from the highs over there in the start of September down to the lows, and you'd be looking at having kind of fulfilled a 50% retrace on there, enough to satisfy Dow Jones or so anyway in terms of these numbers coming in within $5 of that or so. And then perhaps, that would be enough is all you needed to do. I want to see the prices break above 377 to get properly positive on this again, but I'm going to just remind people that this is something that's worth looking at, and that looking at this could be a way of getting a sort of canary in the coal mine, if you like, for the Bitcoin pricing. So we've had these big rises up in terms of the prices over the last wee while. That's brought us up to looking like we could have turned around from the trend there just a handful of days ago on the 13th of September. And we're doing the same sort of thing over here on Bitcoin. We're coming up and putting in these highs, but could it then follow on down the way and go perhaps into to just come back down towards the lower end of a descending broadening wedge, potentially with a bit of pullback on the prices there, and then we'd have to reassess the psychology and the price action at that time. If that were to happen at the same time as this were to go down towards the lower side here and take out any of these targets, then of course we could again be kind of nervous about any sort of further follow through towards the downside thereafter. You'd be wise to, because you're looking at 10% moves down in terms of the price action to get down to these zones, and that's significant enough, especially when you take into account that we've had a big enough move down really overall so far, and that would be quite macro picture changing type stuff. Okay. But we can be positive, and I actually just want to really underline that and iterate that again as well. Again, in this episode, I'll do it in all episodes today, to say thank you so much for being my friend out there, to every one of you, and I'm really happy and proud to be your friend as well. So thank you so much for that, and that's great, and I really do appreciate you taking me into your life for just however many minutes you watch these videos for on a daily basis, and being and having that interaction, because it's really, really great, and I really, really, really genuinely do appreciate it, and I believe in you as well. Another thing, I didn't say it quite so clearly in the Bitcoin one, I really do believe in your potential to become that strong, self-reliant, independent trader who can really be consistently profitable. And I do think that we're on the road. Even if you're just tuning in here for the first time today, you've taken the first right step and you're on the way to doing that. And thank you so much again for joining me. So if you want to hit that subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. So let's move on and take a look just here with our pitchfork Ethereum USD chart and see how we've managed to do in terms of this, head and shoulders and whatever else. Well, if we just consider this instead actually to be more like an Adam and Eve element here, where we've found a neckline in this zone at the 357s. We've stayed above that so far and we've not broken down below. So that's good to see. And if that remains the case, then we can continue to look towards these targets up above 380s, 400s, 420s, and that for our 420 Blaze zone for if we were to go up towards the top side. Now we had this ascending wedge on the go here in the background, which we then broke down outside of, and that's going to be, that's like historical enough for me to remove that off the charts. It takes up so much real estate. I think it's worth just getting rid of. And yeah, we've done a lot of that. So we've had a healthy pullback and everything. That's all quite positive. But this remains crucial. And if we stay about, if we drop down below the 360 area, then we could be looking down to, of course, this 352 area, which could be a sort of the canary in the coal mine for moves down, perhaps towards that $300 area. Looking at 20% in the price action being knocked off there. So you got your 10% and you got your 20% targets that we've talked about in this episode so far today. Of course, still got upward side targets, and that's a 10% move towards the top side if we get into this $400 zone here. And that's where we could expect to see some profit taking happening, at least in this zone where we have the median line of the pitchfork. We have, historical fuzzy zone area of price interaction and profit taken in that zone. And then, of course, we have the 50% Fibonacci retracement and the round number effect of $400 as well, should we go towards the top side. Not look too much in terms of divergence or anything else here at this particular chart just now. In terms of this, even though it's a 4-hour time frame, you've got to kind of be looking at this and saying high, low, and so far lower high. So really, I'm not going to get too bogged down in the detail until the prices actually go up towards $500 or indeed down towards $300. So there's a big chunk of movements potentially to happen without getting too hung up on the detail. Of course, I do get very much hung up in the detail and tell everybody all of everything you need to look out for on your average episode. So we'll be doing that as ever soon enough. But I think that'll do in terms of looking at this particular pairing. So we'll go over to look at the Bitcoin pairing, and remember that this is where we can see the more negative sort of aspects of things, where we have this head and shoulders here again, and the potential that we have moved down past the neckline of it. Now we're being supported at the 236 here so far at that 0.03350-ish area, and as you can see, the prices are at 0.03360 currently, and that's okay. We could still though be looking towards a full measure move, taking us back down to these previous lows, and actually coming in here and touching the 382, re-triggering, have moved like to activate this when we move down below 0.3. I'm gonna sneeze here, maybe 0.3. Bless me, 511. We sort of have this valid Fibonacci, and that gives us targets down below of 0.3160, 0.0284, and then 0.260, 0.252, sort of the next sort of downward side targets. If we did all of that, and then we got to wonder how the markets would be looking there. Would we be seeing a more devastating drop down in the dollar prices than the Bitcoin ones, or would Bitcoin remain relatively stable or simply just follow it down slower? And got to wonder about the dynamics there that may exist with all of that on the go. But that's what we're still looking at currently. Zooming on into the price action and saying, well, if this is a low high, this is a low, this is a lower high, and then this is a low coming in now. Does it look like we've got any sort of bullish divergence on the go? We don't. The DMI hasn't moved the ADX up above 20 on the 24-hour time frame to give you that negative stance on there. Jumping down to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that it very much has those. So we have got this negative trend here, and that's not so great in terms of looking at the Ethereum pricing being able to outperform the Bitcoin pricing versus the dollar. So that's something to be aware of, and until such times as we've gone back up above, we'll see, because we have two head and shoulder raises here. Until such times as we've gone down below the 0.032, you can say, well, maybe this is all going to fail. That would just mostly satisfy the measured move off the back of the smaller head and shoulders here, and you could say, well, hey, look, this is where we want to see support at, and then when we go back up, if we go back up above the right shoulder area here at 0.035, that sort of number we've already spoken about a few times there, then we could then be looking at undoing both of these potentially in the near future, with this, and going back into this wedge structure where we've had support along the way, and perhaps, you know, seeing some positive price moves towards the top side. And the targets for those could easily just be summed up as saying the sort of this Fibonacci here, that we currently remain above the 2364, you know, right in at it, of course, like we spoke about already. But here at 382 would be 0.034, 50% at 0.036, and of course this is the golden pocket zone in there at 0.0374, and trading between all those zones is going to actually probably be your best bet in the near term future, with a keen eye as that just wants to jump around like mad. I hope that recorded on screen because it was a bit funny. The keen eye remaining on these sorts of zones here at the 32 area if we do go down another little bit, for perhaps where things could get a little bit more tasty for us. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. A friend of yours is a friend of mine. If you've just tuned in here for the first time, then be sure to share this channel with your friends. That's youtube.com/Rocky Outcrop, and you can also do it on Twitter and join the Discord and all that good stuff. And a shout out to all of you out there who are watching now. I really do appreciate you taking the time to spend it with me today. Thank you so much, and enter that Bitcoin giveaway. You know how to do it already if you've been watching along. If you're new here, then you just go on any of the videos and say something along the lines of Rocky you rock, and that each one of those is an entry. Let's see how we get going with that. Yeah, thanks so much. 2K in September. Can we get to 2K subscribers? Be a part of that story. I'd really appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow as I come back for more of this TA, and be sure to check out the Bitcoin, Chainlink and Tezos episodes today as well. Thank you. See you then.